guys, welcome back to Vidyapaka. Today we'll be going to discuss about a scam which is also called as the Enron Scandal of India. Today's story mainly revolves around a person called as Ramalinga Raju. His story is just like a roller coaster ride to be more precise. Come let us begin our today's topic of discussion, that is the Satyam Scandal. So before knowing about the scam, let us know more about this company. Satyam Computers was formed by Mr. Raju Ramalinga Raju in the year 1987. It was formed in Hyderabad, India. Satyam Computers was one amongst the top 5 IT companies of India back then. Not only that, out of all the clients base it had, it almost served for 185 companies out of Fortune 500 companies. That is a very big number to be more precise. And not only that, Satyam Computers network, it almost spread across the globe and they almost provided services in 66 countries. Bad cannot be done forever. Same was the case of Satyam. Mr. Ramalinga Raju realized that he cannot manage the business in the way he was doing by doing fraud for any longer, and he felt the heat. Ramalinga Raju finally admitted whatever he has been doing for the past 8 years. He wrote a letter to the directors of the Satyam Computers and the Securities Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI, and to the stock exchanges explaining how he did this fraud for the past 8 years. And not only that, he also took the entire ownership of whatever had been done for this 8 years on him. Now, whatever you guys are seeing on the screen is the snapshot of the letter he has written to all these people. I've also given you the link to download the letter written by Ramalinga Raju. You can have it for your reference. I know the words and the numbers used here is not that understandable, because of which I have interpreted it in a much easier form. So let us see what he had actually done. So whatever you see under the inflated value is what was reflected in the balance sheet. So whatever is shown as actual values is what really existed in the company. So end of the day, the net fraud is the manipulated figure. Now, if you guys can see, whatever is inflated value he has shown, the cash and bank balances, that is whatever the reserves he had showed, that we have so much of cash and the bank balance, he had shown it as 5,361 crores. Everything is in INR, Indian rupees. Whereas the actual figure, whatever existed, was only 321 crores. Now, what is this? Now, imagine I have 5 rupees in my hand, but to the entire world, I say that I have 100 rupees in my hand. So, in this way, he overstated all the assets. So, the same is with the case of accrued interest. Interest is basically whatever you get on your FDs or your savings or whatever deposits you have made. So actually in reality there was nothing, there was no interest at all. But he said that the company has to receive 376 crores of interest, which is not even one penny existed. In the same way debtors, and he understated the liabilities. Now what is this liabilities and understating? Now imagine I have taken a loan from a bank. I took 100 rupees. Now, at the end of the day, with whatever money I have to repay this 100 to the bank. To be frank, that is always a negative value for a company. So what did Satyam do? This 100 rupees was always understated. So if at all I had 100, he always showed it as 10 rupees. So the same way, whatever was the actual liability, he never showed that, but he always understated the liability. So by this, he made a fraud of 7,136 crores. The next step which he took to do this fraud was by showing non-existent employees. That is, these people never existed. If you see the Satyam books, there are 53,000 employees on the payroll. But if you actually count them, there were only 40,000 employees. The rest of the 13,000 employees never existed. So every month rupees 20 crore was drawn, that is, it was paid to these employees. I need not tell you where this money actually reached. The next one was, if your doubt is how could he actually do all this by showing fake invoices, that is to inflate the revenue, to show that the sales were more, he printed fake invoices. And to manipulate that, even the bank statements were manipulated, they never showed true figures. By this, even the records were fake and even the people were fake. The next key thing in this fraud was that Ramalinga Raju saw a prospective growth in Hyderabad. He believed and also assumed that the Hyderabad, whatever is the land, that is going to be the next currency. So what he believed is that he has to acquire as much of land possible in Hyderabad, and once the land prices shoots up, he wanted to sell. Now, if your question is, sir, he had money, he would do. What's wrong in that? For this, he did two mistakes. The first one, with whatever money he had, he acquired the land in Hyderabad. Now, the greed was not done there. He wanted more and more land, but he don't have money. So what did he do? He started showing fake invoices, fake sales. With that money, he started to invest in the land in Hyderabad. And not only that, now whenever the company started showing good financials, the share prices started shooting up. In that up rise, he started selling his shares. His promoters stakeholding was more than 20% in 2000, in the year 2000. By the year 2007 and 8, the promoters holding, that is Satyam's shares in Ramalinga Raju's share in Satyam, was less than 2%. So ideally he had dumped all his shares, and with that money he acquired land in and around Hyderabad. And also there was this fraud money which was existent as it is. Now the second thing what he did was, he had a inner information about the metro plan which was about to come in Hyderabad. Satyam had an access, that is Ramalinga Raju had an access to this metro plan, and he started acquiring the land in this map, whatever the route map in which the Hyderabad Metro used to come. This is again a fraud. Back in those days, Mr. Sridharan, who is also the major reason for the change of face of the public transport in India, he is behind many successful metro ventures in India. He is an Indian engineer. He cautioned the board back then, that is 4 5 months before Satyam wrote the letter. He cautioned that this is what is going on. I suspect this is going on, that Satyam, that is Ramalinga Raju, has an access to this a metro plan, that is a metro route wherever the metro is going to come, and a land acquisition has happened there, which is not fair, is where he cautioned. So now all the money is in the property. Now how will he take back that money? 7,000 odd crores, whatever is shown as fake figures, how will he even give a justification to it? So the last resort for this was acquiring two of his family owned business, that is Matus Infra and Matus Properties. These two companies were formed by Ramalinga Raju's family members itself. His plan was Satyam Computers will acquire these two companies and pay consideration to the shareholders or the promoters of these two companies. In reality, they are also his own family members itself. Now, in reality, that 8,000 crores will not be paid, but still, it will be just shown in the books that that 8,000 crore, whatever fraud he has done, was paid to these people to acquire these two companies. So this was a master plan, but the institutional investors of Satyam company, that is the banks, mutual funds, whoever invested in Satyam, they stopped. The shareholders did not allow them to do this particular transaction. The acquisition did not go through. So if you see Satyam and Metas, Metas is just the opposite of Satyam. If you see, it is just the upside down. So The plan did not go through, and that was the last resort Satyam had, and he couldn't do it. And end of the day, Satyam had to come to the public and he had to admit his defeat. The fraud is done. Now, what are the after effects of the fraud? The share price of Satyam in the year 2008 traded at 544 rupees per share. The moment he admitted his fraud in the year 2009, Jan 7th, the share price just tumbled down. It just crashed to less than 10 rupees per share. If you can see the graph, it took no time for Satyam to reach for less than 10 rupees per share. Not only that, the company law board, that is today's NCLT, that is a tribunal, a court type of thing, it declared that all the directors be removed from immediate effect, and it replaced the entire board with 10 directors, 10 nominee directors who would decide the fate of Satyam in the prospective future. If the auditors are always up to their mark and good with their duties, the fraud can never happen. The auditors of Satyam were PwC, one of the big fours. Once the fraud came into picture, the SEC, that is Securities Exchange Commission of US, they slashed PwC with a penalty of $6 million. And the Indian Securities Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI, they slapped with 13 crore penalty. This 13 crore was a disgorgement order. What is disgorgement order? Whatever illegal gains you have made, this 13 crore was the fees they had taken so far. They had collected to audit Satyam's balance sheets. That entire thing had to be repaid. Sir, what happened to the wrongdoers then? Mr. Ramalinga Raju and his brother, they were sentenced to imprisonment of 7 years. And not only that, they were slapped with a penalty of 5 crore rupees each. Sir, for a person who has done a fraud of this great magnitude, is the penalty only 5 crore? Judiciary cannot exceed whatever is there in the act. So whatever is there in the act, they have to go by it. So they are just the interpreters of law. Now, people who were not actively involved but still who helped in this fraud, they were also subjected to a penalty of 25 lakh rupees each. Now the question is, does Satyam even exist today? Because of the number of connected people it had, employees, the government, the shareholders, the service receivers, our government couldn't let go Satyam like that. So the stake of Satyam was auctioned and Mahindra turned out to be the highest bidder. They paid a price of 2,900 crores to acquire Satyam. And later they rebranded themselves as Mahindra Satyam and they carried on business for a while. Later on in the year 2013, Mahindra Satyam was also merged with Tech Mahindra, and today it does exist in the form of Tech Mahindra. So that's it for today, my friends. I hope we were able to understand something out of today's discussion. Thank you so much for watching my video. Stay tuned